for the 90s.
This week on Driver's Seat, Ted and Tony pick this year's best. Best family sedan, best economy car, best utility vehicle, best performance car, best upmarket car, best car they'd actually buy themselves, and car of the year. All coming up as we put you in the driver's seat. Brought to you by Shell Canada, makers of the truly different gasoline, Formula Shell. And Hankook Tire, makers of tires designed to compete, priced to win. Driver's Seat with hosts Ted LaTurnip and Tony Whitney.
Well, it's that time of year again when Tony and I get to pick our favorite cars of the season. And what we've done this time around is come up with 6 categories with the top 5 cars in each category. And we're only going to talk about those cars we've actually driven this season. Anyway, first up is Best Family Sedan. In an alphabetical order, the contenders are the BMW 318i, the Hyundai Sonata, the Olds Delta 88, the Volvo 940 Turbo, and the Volkswagen Passat. A tough choice, Tony. What do you come up with?
Well, we had to throw out some fine cars to come up with that short list, but it was even harder to pick a winner. But when the chips are down, it has to be the Volvo 940. Both the Passat and Sonata are right up there, but the 318 is too small inside to edge them out, and the Delta 88 is just too glitzy for my tastes. As an automotive journalist, I often have a stable of cars to choose from. When there's a Volvo around, I always seem to drift toward that. The 940 is quite simply the best Volvo yet, and that's saying quite a lot. It's beautifully built, roomy, well laid out, safe, and is more of a sports performer than most people realize. As a bonus, it looks much better than earlier 7 Series Volvos, thanks mainly to a tidier rear end. Given Volvo's wonderful reputation for safety and longevity, I find it easy to understand why so many families who can find the funds buy these fine cars. Well, there are cheaper family cars, Ted, but it had to be the Volvo for me. What about you?
My choice here was pretty straightforward. I like the Hyundai Sonata and the Volvo 940, but the best deal going right now is the Volkswagen Passat. Not only because it's a thoughtfully designed and very nicely engineered automobile, but it also has a sense of style and presence about it that no one else in this market segment even comes close to. It's not enough just to have sensible A to B transportation. It should have a little class as well. The Passat has that in abundance and gets my vote as one of the most stylistically pleasing cars on the road. This is a very European automobile, which means a lot to me. Toss in the fact that it's extremely roomy inside, comes as a station wagon, and features the same durable drivetrain as the Golf and Jetta, and you've got a winner. As I mentioned, I also like the Hyundai Sonata a lot too, but it just doesn't have the same refinement as the Passat. And the Passat also has a very attractive sticker price of around $20,000 and delivers top-notch fuel economy. What else could you ask for, Tony?
Well, exactly, and I think that if it comes down to price, obviously, for me, it would be the Passat. The Volvo is expensive, I admit, but the Passat is a very fine car, and it's a very reasonable price.
If you have a family, price is definitely a consideration. I mean, I'd love to have a Volvo too,
well,
but not everybody can afford.
So maybe that's an important factor with what is, in fact, a family car. I guess any family dictates the fact that you're always
you can always get the Passat as a wagon too, which I think is a really good feature.
Well, that's true. That's something we must do sometime on the show, because the wagon is a very fine rendering, in fact. Okay, we've got to move along now. The next segment is economy cars. And the nominees are the Hyundai Scoop, the Mazda 323, the Nissan Sentra, the Toyota Tercel, and the VW Jetta. And what did you pick, Ted?
Well, this is a really hotly contested market segment. There's a lot of excellent economy cars that there, like the Mazda 323 and the Nissan Sentra, but above all, I think I like the Volkswagen Jetta. The reason is simple: value for money. It wasn't that long ago that the Jetta was competing with the Honda Accord, but now the Accord has gone upscale, starting at around $18,000, while the Jetta has remained very affordable. You can get a 2-door Jetta these days for well under $14,000. That's what a Honda Civic sedan costs, never mind the Accord. And if you buy the diesel version, you'll be getting the leader in fuel economy, an amazing 5 liters per 100 kilometers, or 56 miles per gallon on the highway. Even the gas Jetta is stingy, 6.7 liters per 100 kilometers, or 42 miles per gallon. The Jetta also features the biggest trunk and interior space in the economy car sweepstakes and has excellent handling and performance. It's also smashing to look at and holds its value well. Tough combination to beat. Tony?
Well, yeah, the economy segment has been shrinking lately as manufacturers move to more profitable value-added models. But nobody can accuse Hyundai of that tactic, and the new Scoop would represent great value even if it was a more mundane-looking econobox. Instead, it's one of the prettiest little sports cars around, and you won't have to win a lottery to own one. It also has a very acceptable engine and one of the better 5-speed gearboxes in its class. The cabin is a cheery place to spend your hours at the wheel, and build quality wouldn't shame a car costing $5,000 more. It's very miserly on gas, and according to what I've learned from owners, Hyundai doesn't take you to the cleaners when service time comes around. Well, I like the Mazda 323 a lot. I like the Toyota Tercel. But for me, the Scoop scoops them all.
Yeah, at the risk of overstating it here, this is a very, very competitive market segment. I mean, you really got to come up with a good product here. And I just think the Jetta has got everybody beat hands down simply by virtue of the fact that it's bigger. The trunk alone is huge. You could put the Scoop in the trunk of the Jetta. I mean, the Jetta is quite a large car and bigger than anything else in this category.
Well, that's true, but the Jetta, like the Golf, the old models, they will be replaced before too long, always suffered from a little bit of a cramped interior.
But good value never goes out of style.
Well, that's true, Ted, but to me, the Scoop is nice and airy inside. It's bright and comfortable and so forth. It's a very good car for the money.
I got nothing against the Scoop, but it doesn't have the presence of the Jetta. I just think, to me, European styling means everything, you know.
Well, I know. I've owned a Golf, and I'd certainly buy another one.
Okay, well, we have to agree to disagree. Don't go away. Stay with us and come back for more Best of the Year.
We're back, and we'd like to remind you that all these vehicles have been tested on driver's seat. The next category is Best Utility Vehicle, and the finalists are Dodge Caravan, Ford Explorer, Mazda MPV 4-wheel drive, Suzuki Sidekick, and the Toyota Previa. So what did you pick here, Ted?
Well, this is another fiercely contested market segment. The minivan utility vehicle market is the fastest growing in the industry, and manufacturers are outdoing themselves when it comes to producing versatile, roomy, and practical people movers. The restyled Chrysler T-Wagons are still a force to be reckoned with here, but the Mazda MPV 4-wheel drive is, as far as I'm concerned, the ultimate family vehicle. It just has so much going for it. It's absolutely huge inside, for one thing, is rear-wheel drive for another, seats 7, and is finished like an expensive luxury car. But that's not all. The MPV is full of the kinds of little convenience features that make it hard to resist. Central locking that locks and unlocks all the doors, including the back one, is a great feature. And you can get armrests for the front seats and a back seat that flips up and out of the way with a minimum of fuss. Little things maybe, but if you've got a van full of kids and groceries, they mean a lot. But I'm not finished yet. You can also take the MPV 4-wheel drive off-roading. Unlike a lot of other 4-wheel drive vans and cars, the MPV is actually built to take it, with great ground clearance, a powerful V6 engine, and a locking center differential. So if you want to fill it full of trout instead of kids, all you got to do is go. Tony?
Well, you know, I could pick any of these with a pin and be happy. Small vans are the best thing that's happened to the business in years. Having driven all the choices, I've been singing the praises of the new Caravan ever since I first drove one. Chrysler really has made a good thing better. This van has nicely subtle styling changes, and just about every complaint I had about earlier models has been taken care of. Front-wheel drive is still a big plus when the snow flies, and the new V6 engine is responsive and smooth. Until the new Caravan showed up, I had the Mazda MPV out in front like you, Ted, as far as interior styling convenience goes, but not anymore. Chrysler's done a fine job here, and everything is in just the right place. Controls have a better feel to them too, and our test van didn't have a rattle or creak anywhere. I may not have liked the second row captain seats, but the great thing about the Magic Wagons is that you can build them just the way you want. Well, I love this van, Ted, and for me it just edges out the MPV.
I like it a lot too, and I really appreciate the strides Chrysler have made on updating the T-Wagons. They've done a bang-up job, but it's front drive, and I got to have rear drive in this kind of van category, and I just think that the MPV is a better crafted vehicle than the T-Wagon.
Oh, well, I'm not so sure. I think the new Chrysler product is very well crafted, and it also handles very better in snow.
Better car. I've got to move you along here. Next category is best performance car, and the candidates are the Acura NSX, the Dodge Stealth, the Lotus Esprit Turbo, the Nissan NX 2000, and the Subaru Legacy Turbo. Another one.
Well, this is an interesting category for ranges of prices because the Esprit is 6 times the price of the NX2000. But from our shortlist, culled from a long roster of mouth-watering sporty cars, I have to pick the stunning new ACURA NSX. How Honda got this car so right the first time is a mystery to me, even though the company has produced some very worthwhile sports machines in the past. It does everything so well, and it's easy to drive around town, unlike the cumbersome Lotus Esprit. The engine is a delight, and you just run out of superlatives to describe the handling, and the NSX looks better than any automobile has a right to. There's also the price. I know that for most of us the NSX remains a dream, but consider that anything close will run you tens of thousands of dollars more. The NSX is an outstanding achievement and makes me wonder how a car like this could possibly be bettered. Ted, everybody should drive one of these to find out just how good a sports car can really be.
Well, it looks like we agree for once. The NSX is currently the best deal going. This car is hands down, flat out, the best performance car around. It is a gem. It is simply the best sports car on the road these days. Not only does it offer astoundingly good performance and handling, but it's beautiful to look at and has a reasonable price tag, all things considered. The Lotus Esprit, by way of comparison, is at least $40,000 more expensive. The Porsche Carrera II, $30,000. Driving the NSX is like being behind the wheel of an incredibly powerful Honda Civic. Unlike so many other cars in this category, it's as easy to drive in the city as it is on a track. Its driver friendliness is deceptive. You don't feel like you're doing anything particularly exceptional when you're behind the wheel until you look at the gauges and realize that you're up and over 160 kilometers an hour without even trying. A superb multi-valve, naturally aspirated V6 engine, exceptional brakes, and every engineering feature in the book all add up to safe, exciting motoring enjoyment. No wonder they're all sold out until the end of 1992, Tony.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is a wonderful car, and the great thing is that Honda, which really hasn't been building cars for very many years, too, has this car right first time.
And they built it for the North American market. I mean, right now in Japan, if you want one of these cars, you're going to have to wait probably 4 or 5 years. They simply are not available. And what's happening is Japanese buyers are coming to North America to buy the NSX here and take it back to Japan and sell it there.
Well, exactly, and no wonder, because the car is just the finest thing. To say that it's the finest thing that Honda's ever done is very high praise indeed, because their other cars are so good. But this one, it has aluminum bodywork. Even the jack is aluminum, the wheel jack.
It's an amazing car.
Weight.
But, you know, as I'm saying that the demand is excessive, it really is, but Honda or Acura have upgraded their capacity on this one, and they're going to be making, I think, about 1,500 more cars a year for the North American market. They're going to increase the capacity. They'll sell right away, of course.
And one of the things I like so much about this car is that it's very user-friendly. You can get in this car and drive it around the city, unlike some other exotic sports cars, and it's just like driving a Honda Civic. It's a wonderful car to drive around town.
It's
Anybody can drive one of these.
That's right. When I drove it, I couldn't believe it. I mean, this is not supposed to behave this way. It's supposed to be uncooperative and loud and noisy and rattly and bangy, but it's not.
Yeah, you used to get that out of the old British cars and the Morgans, Ted, like you have, but no, I think they've done a super job first time around. All credit to Honda. I just don't know what they're going to come up with next to replace this, but I guess they'll have to come up with something one day. Okay, we'll break now, but we'll be back with the best upmarket car.
Of these fine products from Gardena.
Car. And the finalists are the Bentley Turbo R, the BMW 525i, the Cadillac STS, the Infiniti Q45, and the Lexus LS400. Tough one to pick, Ted.
Yeah, whenever I have to rate this group, I always feel a little guilty because the cars are all so good. The LS400 and Q45 are terrific luxury cars and have changed all the rules of the upscale marketplace. But I have to choose only one car, and it's the BMW 525i. It's actually slightly less money than its two Japanese rivals, yet has all the luxury and performance you could ask for. The inline multi-valve 6-cylinder engine alone is a thing of beauty. BMW has managed to get maximum performance out of an engine that is only 2.5 liters in size. There are bigger four-bangers on the market. And you'll note I keep using the word performance. As far as I'm concerned, this is just as important as luxury, which is why I like BMW automobile much. Furthermore, the 525 is fuel efficient, which some models, such as Bentley Turbo and Cadillac STS, don't even attempt to be. And it's beautiful to boot. But most of all, what it has that Lexus and Infiniti emphatically do not possess is character. The 525i is that most rare of luxury automobiles, one with a reasonable price tag, a commanding presence, a thrifty drivetrain, and exceptional performance. What can I say? This is a wonderful car. What's your choice here, Tony?
Well, this is a tough one to call, Ted, because Lexus and Infiniti have set the market right on its ear this year. The 525i is also a supercar in every way, and even the Cadillac STS quite takes my fancy. Even so, I'm going for broke and taking the Bentley, if only for its wonderful history. This big car is such a spirited performer, it's easy to dream a while when driving it, and imagine you're one of the Bentley boys storming around the Le Mans circuit in the 1920s. With its unsurpassed prestige and superb trim and appointments, this is what luxury cars are all about. Sure, it might not be the most practical machine for everyday use, but if you can afford one of these, you can run to a Jag for day-to-day chores. I don't think any car could give me so much personal satisfaction as a Bentley. It's not simply a matter of owning this car. With a Bentley, you become part of the distinguished history of the marque, and for me, that'd make all the money worthwhile.
Well, I love all the cars in this category, Ted, but I mean, for a real toff, I mean, you have to take the Bentley, surely.
Well, I'm glad you finally admit that you're a toff, Tony.
Not me.
But the thing about the Bentley that I didn't like and what struck me when we tested it is that inside the car, this is a huge automobile, but inside the car it's quite cramped. There's not that much room in there. Back seat legroom is probably less than a Honda Civic or something. It's very crowded.
Well, I don't think it's that bad, but I mean, you do sit in a high and kind of lordly position on the road, which is...
Well, if you like that, get a truck.
But I mean, if money is no object and you want to make the ultimate statement, this has to be the thing.
That's the other thing. The money. I mean, I'm not a rich man, but even if I was filthy rich, I would just somehow feel guilty about spending that much money on this thing.
I guess lots of people do, but I think in certain parts of the world where these things matter very, very much, people are quite prepared to pay this much money, the money that could buy you several good cars and probably a house as well in some places.
Having said that, of course the Bentley is a wonderful car, but it's not as contemporary as the BMW 525, which means something to me.
I admit to that. Okay. The next category is a very personal one, so we've got two lists, and it's cars we would actually buy. And what's your list, Ted?
Well, this year I decided to narrow it down to practical transportation. I'd love to browse among the likes of the ACURA NSX and the Porsche Carrera too, but I decided to go with something a little more sensible. And my list includes the BMW 318i, the BMW 525i, the Dodge Caravan, the Subaru Legacy Turbo, and the VW Passat. The Passat is high on my list, and so is the Subaru Legacy Turbo and the BMW 318i. But I want to have a little fun. So my personal choice is the BMW 525i. It's arguably the best performance sedan on the market, yet can double as family transport. Best of all, it has a sticker price that I could possibly handle without having to mortgage my home and put myself in the poorhouse. I'm amazed that BMW can sell the 525 for under $50,000, but they do, well under. Its luxury features are beyond question, but it also has a huge back seat, one of the biggest trunks in its class, and exceptional highway manners. And BMW has taken care of some of the little things that used to irritate me with their 5 Series. Synchro mesh from first into second during cold starts has been dramatically improved, and some of the switches are easier to get at than before. That's twice I've picked this car now, Tony. I must like it.
Well, I've tried to make my list realistic rather than a selection of cars I just dream about, and my list is the BMW 318i, the Dodge Caravan, the Eagle 2000 GTX, the Volvo 940 Turbo, and the VW Passat. Bearing in mind price, which must always be a factor, I have to choose the VW Passat, even though others tempt me almost as much. The Caravan is an obvious choice if family roominess is paramount, and the 318i beckons because of its sportiness. The Eagle GTX is the best all-weather car I've ever driven, so that nearly edged out the rest, and the Volvo would be number 1, except it's a little expensive. That leaves the wonderful VW Passat, a roomy, good-looking German sedan that sells at a very fair price. I liked this car as soon as I sat in one, and experience with it since has only cemented the love affair. There might be more sporty models at the price, and plenty of cars are faster and more agile. Even so, the Passat gets it all together beautifully and doesn't let you down in any department. Ted, if I had twice as much money, I'd still buy a Passat.
Oh, that's saying something. I like the Passat a lot, but I admire the technology of the 525 so much. It's such a beautiful package that I would somehow find the money to buy the car, even though I can't afford it.
You're making more than me, so you can shop for BMWs, Ted.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. I do not. But this car is so wonderful, it's worth going into debt for, I think. We've got to move along. Now, don't go away, because we're going to come back and give you our picks for worst car of the year.
Well, we've had our best of the year, and now it's time to pick our worst. And if worst car means the one that disappointed me the most this season, I have to pick the Lotus Esprit. Now, I might be forever alienated by sports car fans, but I have to be frank here. The ESPRIT is an awful car. With this ridiculously heavy steering at low speeds, cramped cabin, ho-hum quality control and dreadful three-layer back window, the ESPRIT is an abysmal car to drive around town. Now, I know it looks great on the track and looks like $1 million, but all cars should be usable, even exotic ones. And then there's the price. $125,000 for a plastic car with a 4-cylinder engine. They've got to be kidding. And all I can add is that there must be some flaws in the tax system if people are left with enough spare cash to squander on one of these.
Ouch. Well, without a doubt, the most unattractive, stupid, and badly designed car I drove this season was the Pontiac FIREFLY convertible. The Optima LS was right up there too, but it can't hold a candle to this pile of junk. The FIREFLY convertible is uncomfortable, underpowered, noisy, ugly, and has the handling characteristics of a shopping cart. Did I mention it's ugly? How ugly is it? If Yasser Arafat was a car, he'd be a Pontiac FIREFLY convertible. This is the nebbish mobile of the 90s. I was embarrassed to be seen in it, and it's dangerous too. With its tiny wheels, flimsy body, and flaccid suspension, this is one car that will be seen on the business end of tow trucks for years to come. Just because it's a ragtop, people might think it's fun to drive. Wrong. You feel like you're sitting in a barrel when you get behind the wheel, and the little three-bagger engine sounds like an air compressor when you put your boot in it. Did I mention that it's ugly? How ugly is it? It's so ugly you want to put a bag over your own head when you drive it. I'm sorry, sticking a convertible top on an Econobox does not a sports car make.
Well, so much for the rubbish. Now let's recap our cars of the year. Category of family sedan, Ted chose the VW Passat. I chose the Volvo 940 Turbo. For economy cars, Ted chose the VW Jetta. I chose the Hyundai Scoop. In utility vehicles, Ted chose the Mazda MPV 4-wheel drive. I chose the Dodge Caravan. Category of performance cars, we both agreed that the ACURA NSX was the tops. In upmarket cars, Ted chose the BMW 525i, and I chose the Bentley Turbo R. Personal choices, Ted's was the BMW 525i, and mine was the VW Passat.
But what's the top dog? What's the best car of the bunch? Well, there were a lot of contenders, but the choice was unanimous. Tony and I both picked the ACURA NSX, also the performance car choice. What can we say that hasn't already been said? This car has had a tremendous impact on the marketplace. So the driver's seat car of the year is the ACURA NSX. So congratulations, ACURA. Tony, I'm almost getting tired of talking about this thing. It's won every single category we've put it in.
Well, that's true, and one must remember the price of the car. It's tens of thousands of dollars less than equivalent cars from, say, Porsche. What more can we say?
Well, that's it for another show, and we hope you enjoyed our best and worst of the season. Join us next time. We'll put you in the driver's seat.